Alright, what's up? Got an awesome review video for you. The Mountain Racer 3 versus the Ultraventure 4. These are both by Topo. One of the reasons I like doing these versus videos is because if you're like me, or lots of people out there, you're on a budget and you might not have $150 just to drop on a pair of shoes hoping that they work. So lots of times you're on the fence with whether it's one shoe or the other, and you know, these shoes do a lot of the same things. Like, people use them for pretty much the same types of races. So I like to do these videos, like I said, if you're on the fence. If you're thinking like, maybe the Mountain Racer 3 is the shoe for me, or maybe the Ultraventure 4 is the shoe for me. So it's a shoe for me. So I'm going to be going over pros and cons, how they feel on the trail, like comfort, sizing, and then also like at the very end I'm going to let you know what I would pick if I had to choose one. I also make these videos because if you're new here, my name is Eric. I am a USCA Ultra Running certified coach, and I love running, talking about running, and helping other runners like you become better runners. And also, lots of these videos are inspired from my athletes, like the training videos, how-to videos, tips, techniques, and then review. My athletes like to know what I'm using, and I am a big Topo fan, so I'm making this video in a response to one of the questions I got from one of my athletes, because if they asked it, then chances are you're probably asking the same question. I am not sponsored or endorsed or anything by Topo. These are my own opinions. I use these shoes on a not daily basis, but on a regular basis. I've used all of these shoes in a race, or at least a run longer than 20 miles or 4 hours or 6 hours or something like that. Lots of my review videos take a little bit of time to get them out, because I'm not one of those people who just want to jump on a shoe, get a review out there just to be the first person without really using the shoe for what it's designed to do. It might take me longer than 30 days. That's one of the great things about Topo, is they offer a money back satisfaction guarantee if you don't like their shoes. So if you don't like their shoes within 30 days, like, just you send it back to them or swap it out for a different size if you get the wrong size, and they have great customer service and support, and will be more than willing to get you into the right pair of shoes. But what if it takes you longer than 30 days to figure out if you like the shoe? Like I was saying, sometimes you buy the shoe just because it's out there and you don't want it to run out of your size or the color or something like that, and it takes you longer than 30 days to take it on a long run or use it in a race setting to figure out, like, man, this shoe really doesn't work. Like, after 2 or 3 hours, like, my feet, they hurt, and or this shoe just sucks, and you know, then you're stuck with it because it surpassed that. So hopefully this video will help if you're on the fence with the Mountain Racer 3 or the Ultraventure 4. So now let's get on with the review. So if you've been following Topo for any amount of time, or you're new to Topo, the Mountain Racer 3 has been out for probably over a year now since its first release. The Ultraventure 4 has been out for about 6 months, and I've used both of these shoes. I've used this in a 50K race and long training runs up in our local mountains. I think the longest time or the most amount of time I put in the Mountain Racer 3 was about 8 hours, where we did like close to 30 miles, and I think we summited about 8 peaks that day on a really like technical mountain trail. This shoe, like I said, has only been out about 6 months. I haven't done a race in it yet, but I have used it on 4 runs, 20 miles or longer, and because it feels very similar to the Ultraventure 3, I know exactly like what type of race I'm going to use it for, and I'll get deeper into that, you know, as the review goes on, because I'm going to go over pros and cons related to each of these shoes, sizing, if it's true to size, and like how it feels out on the trail, and then what type of running or races I recommend each shoe for. So I'm going to start off with the Mountain Racer 3 with the pros for the pros and cons for the Mountain Racer 3. The Mountain Racer 3, right out of the box, like, you know, I put on my foot and it just was exciting. Like, I wanted to go for a run. It felt perfect. Like, it just made me want to just go out there and like rip up the trails. So that's a pro about the Mountain Racer 3, is it makes you want to run. As far as the shoe itself, like, it has a more aggressive lug pattern, has deeper lugs, as you can see, compared to the Ultraventure 4, and this is good and bad for both of these shoes, and I'll be going over that a little bit deeper in detail when we get into the comforts area. And these shoes are actually really good for hiking. Like, this is my #1 go-to if I'm just going to be going for a hike, like out in the mountains or something like that. If it's a flat trail where I don't need a lot of traction or grip, then I'm going to use a different shoe. But for like mountain hiking or technical trails, this is it. And I think they look cooler. Like, they look neat compared to the Ultraventure 4. So what are the cons with the Mountain Racer 3? Cons is I actually don't like wearing these in technical downhills. Believe it or not, with the name Mountain Racer, you would think that I would love it in a fast, like, downhill technical setting. I actually don't. And one of the reasons I'll get into it when I'm telling you like what type of race I would use it for, but I've rolled my ankle in these, and it's just, I'll go over that in the comfort area. But I don't like them for technical downhills. For hiking and running uphills and actual like running, they're fantastic. And I've got blisters in these. I'm not one who typically gets blisters. I do wear Injinji toe socks with all my shoes. And this is the only pair of shoes that I've actually got a blister in, on my heel, on my right heel, on the outside. All my toes and everywhere else is fine. All the other Topos I've worn, with the Pursuit 2s, Pursuit 1s, the Ultraventure 3s, all the road shoes, and I'm spacing on the TerraVentures and stuff like that, I've never got blisters on. So that's a con that I'm putting towards the Mountain Racer 3. Pros and cons for the Ultraventure 4. Believe it or not, this is actually a pro. There's really nothing exciting about this shoe. And as I go into why and what race I would use these for, that it'll make more sense. But like when you put this on, it just feels comfortable. It just feels like a shoe that you can wear all day long, which is a pro. And 80 miles into the last 100-mile race that I did, I wasn't wearing this shoe to begin the race, but around mile 80, like, I could not wait to put on its predecessor, the Ultraventure 3. This shoe wasn't out yet, but like I said, they're very similar in comfort and how they feel, but I could not wait to put the Ultraventure 3 on to finish that 100-miler. So that is a pro, because this feels almost just like it. Cons. What are the cons? Well, they don't look cool. I mean, to some, they might, but in my opinion, it kind of looks like that. When you see an old person walking around Walmart and they're wearing Hokas, this kind of feels like that shoe. For super technical downhills, like where it's, rocky is fine, but if it's like loose soil, loose gravel, or if it's sandy, these shoes do not grip like these shoes. I would actually prefer these in like a sandy or loose dirt situation, but in rocks, I actually prefer these over the Mountain Racer 3s. So pro or con, you can use that either way. Another con is they do feel a little bit heavier compared to the Mountain Racer 3. If you're like one of those nerdy people who likes all the specs, the stack height, the weight, and all that, I put them down in the description so you can check that out. I'm not going to waste your time on this video because, I mean, like surfing, it's more about like what you feel out of the shoe than what the dimensions are, in my opinion. Like I work with my shapers, and it's more about the feel, like what you want the board to do, what you want the shoe to do, as opposed to like what the actual dimensions are. If it feels good, it's gonna react good, in my opinion. Okay, so sizing. I wear a size 9 in Vans. That's my everyday shoe. So whatever your everyday shoe is, I wear these in a size 10. Both of these are size 10s, and I up these one size compared to my everyday shoe, which I said is a Vans. And trail shoe true to size, being that most people up their trail shoes, ultra running shoes, one size compared to the regular everyday shoes. I'd say for trail true to size, they fit true to size, where I don't feel like a 9.5. I feel like a 9.5 would be too small, and a 10.5 would be too big. So I go up one size compared to my everyday shoe size, and both of these fit and feel really good. The difference in sizing that I've felt in these though is, you know, Topo is notorious for its shoe shape, right? Or foot-shaped shoe, where it's, you know, wider in the front, you know, for your toes to do all the stuff that they're supposed to do, and then, you know, narrower in the midfoot, and, you know, feels really good in the heel. Sizing wise, I feel that the Mountain Racer 3 actually feels a little bit like snugger. I wouldn't say tight, but snugger in the midfoot and heel compared to the Ultraventure 4, where I haven't slipped, my heel hasn't slipped. I do use runner knots, if you can see that, so that does like give me that lockdown that I want, but it just, running uphill, I prefer these, the Mountain Racer 3s compared to the Ultraventure 4s. So just like I said, my heel doesn't feel like, I don't feel it slipping, but I just feel like I'm locked down a little bit better in the Mountain Racer 3s. So hope that helps with sizing. Okay, now the important stuff, like what type of race are we going to use these for, or what do I suggest these, or what am I going to use these two shoes for? Because a lot of you are here for either like a super cool adventure run where you're just doing like an ultra like adventure run, or training for a race. So I've used these in a 50K, and I've worn these, I think, well actually the Ultraventure 3, the longest run, actually I wore them in a 50 miler and 40-mile road run that I did. I actually wore these in a road run just to test out the Ultraventure 3s when they first came out. So what type of racing am I going to wear these in? Let's start with the Mountain Racer 3. Mountain Racer 3, I am going to use these in a 50K or under, because like I mentioned earlier, like they make you want to run. They feel fast. They're fun. It's a fun shoe to wear. So in a 50K or less, like a trail race, a 25K, you know, 30K, something like that, 50K that you can actually run in, I'm going to wear these in. If it's going to be a tough 50K where I know I'm going to be like jogging a lot, these shoes don't feel good to jog in. And especially if you get into that ultra shuffle, like it's not my favorite shoe to wear. And that's where I've gone into actually rolling my ankle 3 times wearing these when I've gotten into that ultra shuffle, or I'm getting tired and I'm not running anymore. When it feels like my foot strike moves from my midfoot back to my heel, and I'm heel striking more. Something about the heel in these shoes feels like it's just unstable. And especially when I'm going downhill, if I'm heel striking, it makes my foot want to roll one way or the other. And so that is where I'm saying that, like, if I'm going to be running, like, I'm picking these shoes. If it's going to be a trail race where I know I can like zip through a 25K or really like push my limits, I'm wearing these, no questions asked. But if it gets into that slower race where you get into a jog or that ultra shuffle, when like a 50 miler, 100K, 100 miler, I'm wearing these all day long, no questions asked. And that is, you know, might be the decision for this video that you're going through. So drum roll, like if it all came down to me picking one of these shoes, and if you are new here, and like I have a ton of shoes to review that I'm going to be dropping out in the next couple weeks. If you want to see what shoe, if you want to see how the Pursuit 2 stacks up about which shoe I'm going to pick right now, then make sure you go down and subscribe, because I'm going to be dropping that video in the next couple weeks. The Pursuit 2 versus the Ultraventure 4. That is a shoe I'm picking out over the Mountain Racer 3, just because if I had one shoe to pick, and granted that I am, you know, training for another 100 miler, that I know I'm going to be putting a lot of long, slow miles into these shoes, I feel more comfortable wearing these all day long, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. This is going to be my go-to shoe. Fast, slow, doesn't matter. Like, even though it doesn't feel exciting to run in like the Mountain Racer 3, I know that I can still pick up a decent clip if I had to, and still run in these. Just because it doesn't feel like it's a fast shoe doesn't mean that you can't run fast. And in fact, I did this on a 21-mile road run with my friend where we averaged a 9-minute pace. So it's not an extremely fast pace, but for most trail and ultra runners, that's a decent clip. It's an actual run. It's not a jog. And these felt fantastic in. So, like I said, if you like this, make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe so you can check out the next videos that I'm dropping on the Topos. And if you want to learn more about my endurance life, and I have a free 50K training plan or coaching or group coaching, go to myendurancelife.com and check out any of the links and the tabs on my website. Until next time, rethink possible, and we'll see you soon.